John Cena is Nate Sterling, a presidential hopeful that wants to buck the system and take the country in a new direction because their time is up, our time is now. Ba 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 ba. Their time is up. Our time is now. Now you can't see him. His time is now. Now it's the franchise boys shining now. Now you can't see him. His time is now. It was an actual bit of dialogue from The Independent, a Peacock exclusive from director Amy Rice, who has done documentaries and TV, and also written by Evan Parter. And this is his feature credit. Basically, this movie is essentially like somebody saw the concept of The West Wing, might have watched an episode of it, mostly on mute, and said, yep, those are some good ideas. Let's write all those down. And let's pick a whole bunch of buzzwords from the recent presidential elections and all the strife and turmoil and a whole bunch of stuff. And then let's get Jodie Turner-Smith to pretty much carry this movie on her back, herniating every disc, every nerve, every muscle, every bone in her body, carrying this, dragging this goddamn movie, this goddamn boring, aggressively boring, catastrophically boring movie across the finish line. No, seriously, Jodie Turner-Smith is about the only bright spot in this. She plays Ellie James or Alicia James, and Brian Cox is in this. I'm convinced that Brian Cox actually did die in the ring when he fried himself with a toaster in a bathtub. Because Brian Cox really hasn't been the same in a number of years. I mean, he really was never the most rangy actor, but he's been good in stuff, and here he's just pretty much phoning it in. Also, Stephen Lang is in this. This is the second movie I've seen with Stephen Lang in the cast. Maybe not starring, but he was barely in this, and he was also barely in Mid-Century, which certainly was a lot worse than this. Luke Kirby's in this, and Dowd, who is great in Hereditary and Compliance and does her best here. Honestly, there's a pretty solid cast here. Had this been a short series, had this been like 6 episodes, it might have not been all that bad. They might have been able to flesh some things out, but unfortunately, they barely had enough material in this particular movie to let anything breathe, let anything bubble, and any of the ideas that they had pretty much just... And also John Cena, wap-a-doo, ba-ba-ba-ba. If you are a wrestling fan, like I am, then you might enjoy the fact that John Cena is doing his absolute best and really just playing John Cena in a suit. John Suta, as it were, not John Phillips Suta. So, Brian Cox, his name is Nicholas All Hail King Booker. There's going to be a lot of wrestling references in this review because I gotta be perfectly honest, guys. Like, I was doing everything I could to entertain myself because basically Nate Sterling, John Cena, and his name is ba-ba-ba-ba. He is an independent hopeful that he wants to buck the system buck the ideals of the Republicans, the Democrats, take the good stuff, more of the good stuff, less of the bad stuff, and run on a campaign to help the country. And Jodie Turner-Smith, Ellie James, she is trying everything she can to crack this case, and she realizes she's got this story that could bust the whole thing wide open, and oh my god, the presidential election could go tits up, as opposed to the last two. That really were, I'm not going to get into a deep thing there, but let's just say, yeah, there's kind of a few connotations and real life issues that get brought up here, but nevertheless, it's really just a bunch of half-cooked ideas that don't really go anywhere, and as the story continues to develop, in the largest quotations possible, it becomes obvious that she may be in over her head like Lit was when they did that song for the Titan AE soundtrack. Okay, so this movie isn't great. In fact, not great is putting it mildly. It's not even average. It's just below average. Take Jodie Turner-Smith out of this and replace her with a less competent actress, and you are pretty much asking to develop a recipe for disaster. It is not very good. Every cliche is hacked out. Her having trouble in her relationship because Luke Kirby, who plays Lucas, boy, that must have been really hard for him to remember that. Hey, Luke, you're playing Lucas. Okay, I'll just add an S to my name. Yay. Luke Kirby, who isn't all that bad. Basically, there's strife in their relationship. Ellie has a good home life, but she's worried about her parents. But she also respects Nicholas All Hail King Booker, played by Brian Cox, who's a revered journalist, publisher, and all that. And Stephen Lang is this boss that's very, very creep. Stephen Lang plays a great creep. I will say that, and that's really about it. So yeah, there's a lot of political buzzwords and a whole bunch of other stuff, and there's not really much to it. I mean, Ann Dowd does the best she can, but she sounds like she's half asleep. And John Cena, Wap-a-doo, does really what John Cena does when he's not in something that has good meaty writing or entertainment value. He's just kind of there. I will say this much about John Cena. He has succeeded in Hollywood more than I thought he would, considering I was not the biggest Cena fan for a while, though I appreciate his talents. It just ends, and none of the twists are shocking. We all know where this shit's going, and that's pretty much just it. It's on Peacock. There are worse movies to watch, but it's basically, again, just, it's a couple episodes of The West Wing, Human Centipede together, half cooked, and every other political drama, just with nothing good. It's like if The Good Wife actually didn't have any substance, and The Good Wife really lasted, well, a lot longer than it should have. It's just every cliche you could imagine. It's not very good. And the acting, outside of Jodie Turner-Smith, really isn't all that memorable. Because none of the writing's all that good. Because it's from a first-time writer. When sometimes you can get good stuff from a first-time writer. Not here, but whatever. There are certainly worse things to see. I am going to get into spoilers, but it's on Peacock. You can check that out. Enjoy Jodie Turner-Smith carrying this goddamn thing to the best of her abilities. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so there's this whole thing about this lotto, this particular lotto, Super Millions and everything, because they can't use an actual thing. Or maybe Super Millions is something that's actually around in some particular other states. I know that there's Mega Millions with Powerball because I work at a place that sells that shit. But money's being skimmed off of that. And it turns out this money is being funneled to help Sterling's campaign. And then Sterling was going to use it to... he was going to use it to get into the White House, and then he was going to pay the stuff back. The thing is about all the money being skimmed from the Super Millions and all these lotteries, is a lot of that money that, some of that money skimmed was supposed to go to schools, especially for minority schools. And that hits close to home for Jodie Turner-Smith, who, if you don't know, is African American. And obviously, if you see underprivileged people, especially if they're minorities, being shafted, you want to do everything you can to help. Her and Brian Cox have a few good exchanges. Lou Kirby is her boyfriend, but also on Sterling's campaign. And there's no real sense of danger, like there isn't. There's no stakes. Stakes. Stuff just happens. Any serious, like discussions just feel hollow. Ann Dowd, who's one of the presidential candidates, doesn't really feel like, she was necessarily needed. You could have put a fucking mannequin in there and put Ann Dowd in something else, like something meatier, something better. Why is a moon rock better than an earth rock? Because it's a little meatier. Ha 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 ha. I don't know why the fans were cheering for an empty podium with an empty suit talking, because you can't see him. Because it's funny. I don't know why the hell I don't know why or how that ever got over. I know why it happened. And from there, you just have, you have the basic stuff happen, and then eventually the story gets published, and it turns out that Sterling knew all about this, and he was going to pay this stuff back. But nope, that didn't end up working, and the story got published by Booker, by All Hail King Booker, and Miss Alicia James. So there you go. Jodie Turner-Smith pretty much carrying this goddamn thing. And everything else, yeah, it just really didn't have much to it. I'm giving it a D+ because Jodie Turner-Smith at least did her best. I mean, she's a really good actress, and she's good for at least almost a full grade. But she could only do so much. I mean, I was going to give it like an F, and I was going to really knock it. But I'm like, you know what? At least she's delivering a pretty decent performance. Nevertheless, yeah, D+. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.